Right, so as I've mentioned before, the Zorn palette is a quite limited color palette, but it's enough for you to paint a wide variety, a wide range of subjects. So it's basically the black and the white, which I use the lead white. And lead white is better for people and for skin, for example, because it has some transparency that kind of imitates the oils of the skins differently from the titanium white. So the lead white is usually used for people and let's say inside the studio, still lives and such. And the titanium that I have here, I usually just leave for landscapes. So we have the black and white and the red and yellow. The yellow is a yellow ochre, and the red, it would be the vermilion or the Chinese vermilion or the cadmium red. So the cadmium red. But prefer to use actually the English red. Okay, this one I made myself, so that's why it's on the tube. This white here, I actually bought a can of lead white and I tubed it. And I don't usually make the lead white because of the toxicity of it, the powders and everything from the pigments. And those four are my very limited palette. And another option would be to take the lead white out and put the titanium white. It's okay. I mean, it's more opaque color, but it's alright. And another thing that I also do is that I add actually the raw umber. Because it's a brown that is more transparent. Of course, you can mix the yellow and the red with a little bit of black and get a brown. So it's not really necessary to have raw umber, but those two colors here, the yellow ochre and English red, are quite opaque and quite strong. They have the pigments are very strong, and the raw umber is a bit more transparent, so it's good for, say, shadow areas and knowing to start a drawing, for example. And just with a little bit of oil, turpentine, you can dilute it very well and get very transparent. You spread it quite a lot and get very transparent areas in your painting. And if you use just the raw, just like more thick layers of the raw umber, you can get darker brown. If you use thinner, you can get more transparent and a nice gradient. So it's quite useful. So this basically is my limited palette, right? And then I add some extra colors to add certain effects. And as I mentioned, if I need some more extravagant color, I also use it. Now I'm gonna talk about the mixtures. I'm wearing these latex gloves just to protect my skins because of some pigments can be a bit toxic, right? So just to protect myself. And I'm gonna start with the classical mixtures from the traditional mixtures from a limited palette. I'm gonna start with the ivory black. Then I use the English red. Then the yellow ochre. And the white. This is the lead white. And I'm gonna also do at the end some mixtures with the titanium white to see if I can show you the difference between them, those two whites, on the opacity of the mixtures. I doubt it because from a screen, the camera, it's difficult, but I'll try. This is the titanium. Maybe you can even see even just the texture of them. They're a little bit different. The titanium is a little bit more fluid. The lead white is a little bit thick. So if I mix those two colors here, the yellow ochre, and the English red or burnt sienna, I get this sort of orange. So you get this sort of orange here, and it's kind of like half and half. If I add more yellow, then of course I'll get a more yellowish orange. You will often hear a dog barking. This is actually my mom's dog. Apologize for that. It's kind of unavoidable. And if I get a little bit of red, then of course I will get a more reddish orange. So basically from here, from those two mixtures, I start making the mixtures to leave ready on a palette. So basically you have this pre-made mixtures on the palette, so you don't have to keep mixing every time. Every time you're gonna put a brush stroke, then you need to mix something else, So you leave those pre-made mixtures on the palette to start the day. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do two rows here, one more reddish and one more yellowish. I'm adding more yellow here to make this a little bit more yellowish. I thought it was a bit too reddish, just to separate more those two rows. And basically if I get these and mix black, then I'll get darker colors. If I add white, then I'll get whiter colors, lighter mixtures. So let me make actually more orange here just to exemplify the brown, which you can do also in case you don't want to use the raw umber as I usually do. So actually let me mix half and half orange again. So if I get this one and mix with the black, it's kind of the orange with black, I basically get a brown. So for that reason, it's not really necessary to have the raw umber, but to have like a brown on the palette, because you can just mix your own. But this brown is, of course, will be quite opaque because both English red and yellow ochre are quite opaque colors. So that's why I use raw umber, because it's more transparent. So let's start with the red row. I will get this mixture and add some black, and I will get a darker reddish mixture. So it's a darker tone from the same mixture. I'll get even less of this mixture and add more black, more of the ivory black. Then I'll have an even darker mixture. I can go as far as basically getting black and then adding a little bit of the English red, just the English red. This is what I usually do in my palette for the darkest values, darkest mixtures that I have in my palette. It's almost just black, just with a little bit of color. So here I have 4 mixtures, right? 3 from this side, which is like really dark. And then I'll get the same mixtures, still on the reddish roll. And let me just clean this here. And the same mixture. And I will start adding white. This is the lead white that I'm using now. and basically it's the same tone but with a lighter value. And of course the white also makes it a little bit even more opaque. If I add more white, then I have a lighter value. And you can even make an even lighter mixture, which is basically a dirty white. So it's the opposite of the darkest mixture, which is basically just white now with a little bit of the red, the mixture with the red. So it's kind of a dirty white. And now I have this variety, kind of a value scale, right, a value range that it goes from very, very dark to very light, and it's basically a more reddish color. And you can make even more than that, right? You can mix those like in between those and have values in between those, which you can also do while you paint with a brush, right? So this is enough. You can make as many as you want, but here I have 7. And if I want to make an intermediary tone, I can just mix those with a brush. So I usually have like 6 of these mixtures. Here I have 7, but so it's fine. You can make as many as you want. I think it's understandable, the idea that you can have as many as you want, and you can, but it's not necessary because you can mix directly while you paint also. But it's just, these are just a starting point.